Hey Tumblr. So accidental butter dared me to take a video showing off my Zelda collection, talking about each one, which one I played first, the one you love the most, and any that may have made me cry. Um, the first Zelda game I actually played was Ocarina of Time on Nintendo 64. I was in 7th or 8th grade, and at that time, I mean, that was a pretty big game. It was for a lot of people. Good story. It was like Nintendo's first game going actually into 3D graphics, so pretty groundbreaking for its time. And yeah, it did. It was very. It did impact me a lot. But it still was my favorite Zelda game. It wasn't until Majora's Mask came out that I really was like, wow, this game is pretty good. I mean, it essentially was supposed to be Ocarina of Time Part 2. It was difficult, so you had to at least, well, not had to play the first game, Ocarina of Time, but it would have helped with like the control setup and everything. But that game actually, for being a kind of a smaller game, it was much hard. It was a lot harder, and and the whole game was just challenging. And I mean, it was frustrating to play it sometimes, but I loved it. The storyline to me was much better than Ocarina of Time. It was definitely darker. Maybe it was the fact that it wasn't, maybe it didn't feel like a Zelda game is why I liked it so much. I mean, hey, it's Link, but it had nothing really to do with Zelda other than the Ocarina of Time. She gives Link when he goes off on his travel. But that game definitely impacted me, hit me pretty hard, emotionally, and graphically, because well, that game was also required the expansion pack and for the memory boost, and even all these years later, yeah, it's still one of my favorites. I have actually, I have it on the 3DS. I picked it up finally, and I have it actually on my Virtual Console as well. I started playing that, but as soon as we got the Wii U, I couldn't really use GameCube controllers on the Wii U. I had to wait until I got the controller Pro. So there was a little bit of time. There was a little bit of time in between gameplay. The newer one, the 3DS version, was definitely easier. I'm like, oh, this is too easy. I mean, it's good in a way because now, like, I'm not a hardcore gamer like I used to be. I'm more casual. I don't spend hours upon hours of playing games over and over. I'll play for 45 minutes to an hour, and then I'll stop. Kitty's going crazy. But yeah, I'll play for 45 minutes to an hour, then I'll stop because I need a break and do something else for a little while. I just can't sit in one place for too long. And oh yeah, and another thing, part of the collection. It's okay, Kitty. As part of the collection is Midna here. Midna, we named her after Twilight Princess. Well, we just call her Kitty. I'm sorry, Kitty. What's up? Anyway. I also have the Hyrule Historia. I bought that as soon as it came out on Amazon. $20. Amazing. I was hoping that it would have shed a little more light on certain questions that I had, but it didn't really. It did link Skyward Sword to Ocarina of Time, which was interesting with just one, just with the Ocarina of Time itself, and what it was made out of. That is all. That's all I really got from it. Just little things here and there. It also established that the original Legend of Zelda is actually set in the later time period, which is really interesting. But Skyward Sword, essentially, everyone knows is the first game. But yeah, I also have Twilight Princess for the Wii. I played it on GameCube first, which is I consider the true version versus the reversed worlds, the flip, because of the peripherals, the controller. This one was also really good. It's also one of my favorites. This one was dark like a Majora's Mask, but this one affected me for a different reason. I just felt like what happened at the end of the game when Midna like went away, it was much more sad. As you expected her just stay in the light world, but it couldn't happen that way. And that was it was sad, but I definitely prefer that over the ending for Skyward Sword. I have that game too, but I let my friend borrow it like 2 years ago, and I haven't gotten it back yet. That game, I mean, it was visually stunning. I mean, the only thing I didn't like about it is because my widescreen TV kind of stretched everything, but beyond that, it was a pretty game. I felt that Fee was pretty useless. She just gave like lame information constantly, just like obvious stuff. I'm like, okay, Fee, like really? I don't need you to tell me this. I already know. I like that certain people did parody videos of her too. But as for the arsenal and all the equipment stuff, I didn't feel like it was as expansive as Twilight Princess was. You got a shit ton of stuff. You got the hookshot thing, you got that cog thing that it can spin on. That was pretty amazing. Though graphically, Skyward Sword was better. It didn't have that punch that Twilight Princess and Majora's Mask had. So right now I'm kind of like iffy with Twilight Princess and Majora's Mask. They're both equally good in my book. They have their own positives in different ways. I did like how Twilight Princess was set in the same world as Ocarina of Time, just like hundreds of years in the future. So you got to revisit all those places, and it's just really cool. Like my favorite was like Hylia, how the lake shrine was originally the water temple, and then they rebuilt the water temple as a lake bed temple, like further down in the water because of how the water levels dropped. It was really interesting. I liked that a lot. Also, in the collection, I have A Link to the Past. I haven't really finished that one yet. I just got to the point where he travels into the dark world and turns into the bunny, is hopping around and all that, and that's where I stopped. I just got busy, and it's even worse for the original Zelda game, just because I have both of those on the Virtual Console, the Link to the Past and the original NES Zelda. I haven't really played it either. It's like, that game was hard. It's just really interesting. I should get into it now that I can play it, like even with the Wii U gamepad, but I just haven't really had time. Or I have had time, but I just have not chosen to put time into that because I'm playing a lot of other games right now. I did finish Ni no Kuni, but anyway. On a related but unrelated note to the original Legend of Zelda, we have 3D Pixel Hero. If you haven't checked this game out, I definitely do recommend this. It's very Zelda-like. It's set almost with a copycat story, but it's done really almost sarcastically, and it's pretty funny. So you have the kingdom. They want to update to a more modern way of living. So instead of just regular like 2D pixels, it's been 3D pixels, and it's got a Zelda storyline. It's funny. They show like the old hero putting a sword in the forest, and says something like, if I remember right, one of these, like, sometime in the future, a great hero, my ancestor or something, will rise, and sure enough, you're the great chosen hero. You go to the forest, pull a sword out, and it's just, the game is just very making fun of the whole genre of like the chosen hero and all that. So when you pick up items, it's just like, you got like 10 gold pieces, whoa, or oh, you're the greatest hero. You like do something stupid, like pull a switch, and it's like, oh, he's done it again. It's pretty funny. I haven't really finished that one either, but you go to all the temples like you do in Zelda, and you collect things, and you talk to the sages, and so I have a lot to actually play right now. Also, part of my collection is I got the Wind Waker. It's funny, this actually was a gift to me from a friend of mine who lives out in Oklahoma. I had been looking for it for a while. I mean, I could have got it on Amazon.com, but at the time, this was before the Wii HD remake, it was pretty expensive. So a friend of mine in Oklahoma, he found it at some store or somewhere. He was somewhere, and he sent it to me. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. It was pretty cool of him to do that, and here we are. This game was pretty good. Once again, it doesn't surpass what I felt for Majora's Mask or Twilight Princess, but visually it was a good game. I did like the design and the level layouts. The ocean treks were a little too much at times, but I felt that it was still done pretty well because it gave you the feel that it wasn't actually an open world, as opposed to leaving one area load screen and then going to the next area. It was just all very open and very seamless, and I like that. It did take a long time to get around, but who cares? I mean, it's part of the feel of it. Suppose it was real. I mean, these people would be spending fucking months out at sea, and it'd be like, okay, I just finished this dungeon. Okay, let me travel 3 months on the ocean, and let's get to our next destination. Hopefully, I'll save the princess in 20 years. If not, but anyway. I haven't had a chance to check out the HD remake yet, but hopefully I will. It's going to be a completely different game because it's, for one thing, they have the cel shaded for GameCube, but then when they redid it, everything it doesn't feel cel shaded anymore. It feels, I don't know, completely different. Maybe a little more dynamic, but we'll see.